Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Thursday, February 23rd. So the moon is going to be in Aries all day. That's a positive thing for us because we need that hype, we need that fire, we need that excitement, we need that enthusiasm. Hopefully we can stay on the positive side of the moon being in Aries, because the not so nice side is agitation, frustration, living on edge, being a little bit angry, kind of seeing moments of rage really kind of peak. So let's hope that we can stay on the brighter side of things. It's relatively a quiet day in the cosmos, only 6 different aspects taking place here today. 5 of them involve the moon, but the one aspect that does not involve the moon is a little bit of a humdinger, which we'll talk about when we actually get to that particular aspect popping off. So the moon is going to make an awkward interaction with Mr. Uranus right out of the gate. So this awkward interaction is a little bit of a opportunity, let's call it a learning opportunity, if nothing else. So you may remember that this particular aspect actually popped off here yesterday. And the friction that it created was restless, was anxiety, was ants in our pants. We were a little bit kind of in a funk with this particular aspect, and it's likely going to arise again. Reason being, of course, the moon in Aries wants to move ahead, wants to make a change, wants to take action. And although Mr. Uranus, who loves spontaneous change, he is pushing for us to kind of see things from a different light, to, really spice things up. However, he is in the fixed earth sign of Taurus energy, who likes stability, who likes to go low and slow, who likes to kind of test the steps in the foundation that we're building just to make sure that they're strong enough and that they don't need any edits or revisions, that we don't have to come back to it later. So we do have this insight, this aha moment, this vision, this bigger, broader perspective, kind of illuminating the path forward. But the moon in Aries just has no chill, right? It's all or nothing. It's go hard or don't go at all. And the speed, the motivation, the energy that, emotionally speaking, we're sitting in right now wants to pretty much take over the world. And we're not supported in doing that. We have to go low and slow. We have to have a strategy. We have to be methodical with the steps, with the changes, with the spice that we are adding to our lives. And this particular choice point or opportunity is for us to see where it is that we need to compromise, where we have to kind of pump the brakes a tad, where we can pour our time and energy and enthusiasm and excitement into the low and slow process that the changes that we need to make right now need in order for them to stick around. The moon goes ahead, sextiles Mars, which is a beautiful vibe because, of course, Mars rules over the Aries energy that the moon is in. And we talked about this briefly yesterday as well, that we're kind of supercharged right now, eliminating the choices, the decisions, the path, the directions that we've been stunted out on deciding over for the past 7 months. That Mars has been in this Gemini energy. We've been very divided, very on the fence about things. And as Mars kind of wraps up this particular life lesson, we are going to be eliminating some of the options and choices that we've had on our plate in order to truly identify what it is that we are going to pour our time, energy, and effort into. So with anything, anytime we have fire and air energy, we have a beautiful possibility to have some inner realm excitement, where we are inspired and motivated and overly enthusiastic and overly eager to get the party started, to initiate a brand new chapter of bringing together new ideas, new goals, new visions, new dreams. And air and fire, I always give the analogy of a campfire. The air is the oxygen, the fire is obviously the fire. But we need a balance between oxygen, and in this case, Gemini energy, so thoughts, ideas, and we need that oxygen to keep that fire, our emotions, at a steady pace of enthusiasm, of excitement, of motivation and inspiration. Because what happens is that if we add too many thoughts in our inner realm, too many windows open, we can become a little bit chaotic. Right? And that fire energy, our emotions, can get so revved up that we just burn ourselves out. We don't get anything done. We can't initiate anything because we're just so scatterbrained and all over the place that, you know what, we're in a dangerous zone of burning ourselves out. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if there's not enough thought, if there's not enough excitement and enthusiasm, oxygen, that fire is going to burn itself out anyways. We need to strike a balance between our emotions and our thought realm. We need to be just as logical and practical and methodical as we need to be in sorting out our thoughts and processing our ideas and backing it up with the appropriate amount of emotion, which is hard to do with Aries energy because they're, like I said, they're balls to the walls and they don't like to pump the brakes at all. So we are going to feel overwhelmed, hopefully in an excitable, enthusiastic way, in order to kind of get the party started and take action on bringing some of these ideas to life. So the interesting thing is that right after that happens, the moon goes ahead and sextiles with Mercury. So Mercury rules over the Gemini energy that Mars, the ruler of the moon in Aries, is sitting in. And what we have here is our heart and our head blending the energies together. This tells me that our campfire scenario, that we are striking an even balance between our inner realm of emotion, of excitement, of enthusiasm, of inspiration and motivation. And we're striking that balance with the thought process, the genius thought process that we're having, because of course, Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, is in the highest form of intelligence in Aquarian energy. So our heart and our head, they're on the same page. We're feeling good about it. We are jiving about it. We are applying logic and practicality and planning the certain ideas out, and we are hyping it up and infusing it with the right kind of excitability, confidence, and enthusiasm that we're going to need for the long term to actually bring some of these visions to life. The moon goes ahead, semi-squares the sun. This is a little bit of a Debbie Downer, I would say, because what we get here is pumping the brakes, which of course the moon in Aries is not a fan of. We pump the brakes because the moon in Aries energy, which is fire, semi-squares, which is a tension and a conflict point, with the sun, who is in Pisces energy, water energy. So what do we get when we have fire and water? We can have a couple of things. If the fire is too strong, if our emotions are too strong, too overwhelming, that fire energy is going to burn that water, right? It's going to steam it. It's going to morph it into steam. Now, if we have a steady balance between fire and water, what we get is the ability to kind of be on the right page enthusiastically, with inspiration, with motivation. We're hyped up, the moon in Aries, ready to go, bold, brave, courageous, to go ahead and to really start tapping into these creative force energies that we're having with the sun in Pisces to bring them to life. However, if there's not enough excitement, not enough inspiration about some of the dreams and visions that were kind of popping around in our mental plane, in our inner realm, what's going to happen? The fire, our emotions are going to be totally put out. The water energy is just going to kind of suffocate that excitement, that boldness, that bravery. And a lot of that is dependent on our particular focus at the time. So if we tap into the not so nice thoughts and feelings that the sun in Pisces brings up, which is avoidance, detachment, disassociation, escapism, we are definitely going to just snuff out all of that excitement, all of that fire energy that we've been trying to cultivate in order to keep us kind of inspired and excited to see the long term of bringing some of these dreams and visions that the sun in Pisces is trying to help us bring to life. So typically speaking, when the moon and the sun, regardless of what sign they're in, regardless of the elemental energy profile, when they come together in a tension point, we see an element of our past, which the moon tends to represent, our unconscious selves, our instincts, if you will, and the future, the sun, because of course the sun is our life force energy, shining a bright light on where it is we want to go from here and what it is that we want to pursue. Typically speaking, we get kind of feeling like we're stuck in a tug of war, like we're being torn in two different directions. And I would say, because this is a tension point, a conflict point, we're tapping more into the sun in Pisces, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, and it's really snuffing out the fire and the flame of our excitement, our inspiration, our motivation, our passion to go ahead and bring some of these creative ideas to life. That's just my take on it. And then what kind of furthers that take and kind of gives me a little bit of a validation that we're going to be tapping into the not so nice parts of these particular energies and aspects is the fact that Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who rules over roles and responsibilities, who rules over systems, foundations, routines, basically structures needed in order to bring new things to life, is going to semi-square Chiron, the wounded healer. Now let's talk about this for a second. First of all, this is the first of 3 different interactions that these two guys are going to have. The next one is going to be August 15th, and the third one will be November 25th. So typically speaking, when we have these very special interactions, because again, Saturn is an outer planet, he's in Aquarius energy, he's wrapping this particular life lesson up. We will not have this life lesson be brought to us for another 30 years. And in that particular time frame, Chiron will not be in Aries energy. So this is like a one-off, let's say. This is like a very special interaction that we get to witness. But what happens is that when we enter into these interactions that are going to be like pow over a long period of time, it kind of sets the tone for what it is that we're going to have to work through for these 3 particular chapters. And first of all, this is a challenging aspect. So this doesn't feel good. And this is going to be a long-term challenge that we are going to see climaxes and points of high activity, again, August 15th and November 25th. What this is creating in us is fear, okay? So fear of what? Well, Chiron, okay, wounds. Fear of not being competent enough. Competent to do what, you may ask? Well, to rise to the challenge, to get to building a new reality for ourselves, to take on the new karmic chapters, the spiritual life lessons, to boss up into new roles and responsibilities. Why are we concerned about that? Because again, Saturn, if you listen to the ascension forecast for this week, you would have known that I went on a rant about Saturn. Saturn is the tough love life lessons that we need to learn, and he is wrapping up his time in Aquarian energy, which means that there's an intensity for us to kind of get going here. Now, consider the fact that in August and in November, when these particular aspects pop off again, Saturn will be in Pisces energy. So the Aquarian energy that Saturn currently in is setting the tone. So what do we know about Saturn being in Aquarian energy? Well, it has a lot to do with social responsibility, has a lot to do with us learning where it is that we have to stop playing small and stop dimming our light, that we're not meant to fit in, that we're actually meant to stand out, and where boundaries are needed so that we stop putting our own wants, needs, desires, what makes us happy, what we feel called to do on the back burner, just to do what we think is expected of us or what we think other people want us to do. Those days are over. So Saturn being in Aquarian energy, bumping into Chiron, we are bringing up the fears. Maybe we don't have the life skills that we need in order to bring our dream to life. Maybe we don't have the spiritual life lessons behind us or the knowledge behind us or the experience behind us. Maybe we are not feeling confident enough to boss up to the next level of karma, of roles of responsibilities. Maybe it's that we're having a little bit of fear knowing that when we kind of individualize ourselves and kind of take the path where we can dance to the beat of our own drum and stand away from the crowd and stand out from the crowd, maybe now we're having a lot of fear and a lot of insecurities about taking this very unique path that it pretty much is a solo adventure. Maybe we are just sitting in the negative Nancy narrative and just allowing our mental plane to go to town on all the ifs, ands, and buts. We want to make a change. We want to boss up. But right now, we don't feel like we have what it takes to build the kind of life and reality that we want to manifest so freaking desperately. We're not high on confidence. We ain't feeling so hot. We ain't feeling so good, which is a real slap in the face with the moon in Aries energy, because the moon in Aries energy has us at our most bold, our most brave, our most creative, our most hype sense of self. So this is definitely a smack down if you will. This is definitely Saturn kind of poking holes in our sails, knowing that guess what? We ain't going nowheres. We got to sit right here. We got to sit in the funk. We got to unpack this. Where did we learn this? How come we don't feel good enough? Why don't we feel deserving of the happiness, of the joy that we're trying to conjure up in our mind space? Why are we lacking the confidence, lacking the self-esteem? Why are we looking at ourselves like we don't know enough, like we haven't experienced enough? Why are we taking the negative Nancy narrative, right? This is something that we're not going to be able to avoid. All of us will feel this on some level. And again, this is setting the tone for the next two aspects that will be taking place over the course of this year. And again, when Saturn moves into Pisces energy and we're being tested spiritually and we're being tested to see if we are smart enough, strong enough, confident enough to bring to life the structures, the foundation needed in order for us to build our dreams upon, we're definitely going to be double whammied and whacked down once again. Just when we build ourselves up in August, we're going to be smacked down into this dark pit of fears and doubts and insecurities. And then we're going to have to dig our ass out of that and build ourselves back up. And then in November, bam, hits us from a different angle. Of course, there are many things that will be taking place between now and then. Pluto will be in a different sign, be retrograde the next time around, in Capricorn energy the third time around. We're going to have Jupiter in Taurus energy. We're going to have we're going to have the true nodes of the moon shift out of this Taurus and Scorpio axis into the Aries and Libran axis, totally changing the game for all of us. We're going to have 2 eclipse seasons by then, so you best believe that we are going to be in a different perspective, a different reality, a different mind frame when the next 2 aspects take place. But pay attention to what's going on in your life right now, what it is that's coming up for you, because those topics and themes will come back at you in August and then in November. So the last aspect that we have here today is the moon bumping into Neptune, who of course is in its place of power in Pisces energy, the ruler over Pisces energy, the ruler over the new moon in Pisces that we just had. And this is a not so nice vibe that we're kind of sitting in right now. It kicked off again with the sun semi-squaring the moon, then Saturn semi-square Chiron put us in this funk. And now emotionally speaking, we just want to check out. We do not feel good. We do not feel hype. We're not feeling excited. Now we're moving into the anger and agitation. We're moving into the frustration. Our fears are a lot bigger than they need to be. Our doubts are definitely tearing us down. The Neptune energy brings in confusion. It brings in a vagueness. It brings in our wounds. It pushes us into our unconscious shadow self. It pushes us into a realm where we detach, where we want to numb, where we want to run away. It doesn't feel good. And it's not supposed to feel good because we have to not feel good in order to recognize what the problem is so that we can provide a solution for us to feel better and unpack that particular baggage so that it can look differently when we open the suitcase again in August and then again in November.